Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook. Welcome to another big review. It'll be some big Scotch, sherry and wine influenced Scotch. I was shooting those little shorts I'm doing for Father's Day tomorrow, and I realized I haven't had these. These are from James. These are big, big, bold Highland Scotches or Speyside Scotches. And they're all finished in ex-sherry or wine. So this first one we're going to talk about is the Glendronach Cask Strength. It's batch 10. This will be only PX and Oloroso sherry, and it's like 58%. And then we're going to talk about this GlenAllachie. This is batch 8. It's got a 10-year-old age stamp. It's about 57%. And it's going to have sherry, but also a bit of wine influence. So if you've got any big, bold Scotch like this, why don't you pour a little bit? Or one of these batches, even better. And come on back. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. As I said very quickly in the opener, we're going to talk Glendronach, GlenAllachie. These are respected, desired Scotches. I haven't had these particular batch releases. This is Glendronach Cask Strength with batch 10. Glendronach has gone through a bit of a turmoil the last few years, I would say. But this cask strength, I don't think was ever part of any of that turmoil. It's 58.2%. It's only Oloroso and PX sherry. And right on here it says what we all want to say, natural color and non-chill filtration. It's some of that stuff that they got in trouble on their regular 12-year-old. But, Glendronach is actually a sweetheart for me. The Glendronach 12 back before it removed, saying it was natural. It was almost always on the shelf. It was affordable. It's just really, really tasty. It's on the shelf less, but doesn't mean I don't like a good Glendronach when I can get one. And James, friend of the channel, dropped these off, and I thought, well, treat to me. I'm a father. Tomorrow we're going to be busy doing other stuff, so why not have a little good Scotch today? Boy, Glendronach, that nose, it's sweet. It's berry sweetness and jams. It's already got some light cocos and chocolates. But, it came to me, this is my first sip of this, so it came to me well opened, well aired, and I find a sherried Scotch really does change within that first little bit, and having this much air in the bottle and this much time could explain why, boy, even at 58%, that nose is rich and sweet and enveloping and doesn't knock me over, which it should at 58%. It's a great nose. Let's dive in and try the palate. Sláinte. Up front, it continues to be that sweet berry notes, like raspberries, even maybe a bit of strawberry in there. But very quickly, malt and that Scotch and a little bit of oak coming in, exactly what you want on a good Scotch. It is clearly a Highland. I'm not getting, any of that peat or smoke or creosote or anything like that. This is clean and sweet and balanced. It actually, in drying now, which I usually get with a lot of heavily sherried Scotches, not immediately drying, not puckering like some sherried Scotches can go. I'm not sensitive to it, but I'm telling you right now, I'm getting no sulfur notes whatsoever in this. Again, well aired. So if some of those problems were there, they're long gone. Now in the long finish, as I talk to you, I'm getting a little bit of chocolate raisin, a little bit of dried fruit, a bit of leather. I didn't get that up front. Up front, it's leaning into the PX for me, what I'm thinking. And when I say that, I mean that sweeter, lighter berry, that sweeter confectionery sugar, that all of those things to me come a bit more from PX. Oloroso gets me closer to raisin and fig and leather, and I wasn't getting that up front. Better have another sip though. Good second sip, and it brought more of that depth that I was really hoping for. Now it's also a little bit more peppery and a little bit more abrasive. In fact, it's odd that the first sip didn't overwhelm my palate because it's usually the case. Absolutely. Hello, lots of alcohol. This time the second sip actually brought me into some, burnt, almost burnt caramel, but burnt, something like cooked down and darker and a little bit drier oak and a little bit more leather fruit and a little bit, just slightly more bitter chocolates and a little bit bitter coffee. Like a little bit of that came out in the second sip. And the first sip, I thought it, like usually the first sip, 50, just wipes out my palate. I'm like, okay. And then second and third starts bringing in the secondary flavors. Here, it wasn't that. Very sweet up front. Second sip now bringing in more darkness and more bitter notes. So maybe on the third sip, when I'm enjoying editing this, it'll settle right out. Another comparison bottle, or a bottle I'm going to use in comparison here that James dropped off, is this GlenAllachie 10-year-old, and it is another cask strength. It's 57.2. I think this was 58 point something, 366. Anyways, GlenAllachie, Billy Walker's team is doing such great things with GlenAllachie right now, and I'm on team. I love GlenAllachie. This is a mix of casking, which is also part of what they're doing. So while this was 2 PX and Oloroso, I believe this has a variety of sherries. I should have looked that up. And I thought it would be on the back because it's another one that would say, natural color, not chill filter is how we want Scotch to be. I think it has a wine in it, a Spanish wine. Is it Rojilla? I'll look it up and put it down below. But it's got a variety of casks going on. But we'll see just how the whiskey speaks in comparison to this Glendronach Batch 10. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more aromatic vanilla, a little bit. There's also that sherry sweetness. But in comparison, I thought this was going to come out lighter. Like, I've read a couple of things about these, like a few things. But for me right now, this is sweeter and more berry. And this has other things going on, darker red grape, but also vanilla and toffee. It's a little coy. Might play as I get it in the palate and chew around. So hope you got something nice in your glass. Sláinte. Oh, that is very interesting. There is more at play for my palate in this. This has some nut oils, some peanuts, some... almost peanuts. I don't usually go peanuts, but I usually go almond, sweet almond, or bitter walnut. In fact, I can't remember aside from Jim Beam bourbons when I've talked about peanuts, but definitely getting that in here. Mixed in with some fruits, but they're just cooked down compote fruits. I can't even pull out, like I said earlier, grape. Now I'm playing into stewed fruits, stewed plum, a little bit of orchard in there, but cooked together. Better try another sip a little more quickly on this one, Sláinte. There's a breadth to this Scotch that plays in more variety of areas. So I've got a little more nut oil. I've got some chocolates. They're not as prominent as this one. This one went sweet and then down into dark. This has got maybe a little bit of roast in there, but it's playing into some light caramels and toffees and sugars and different oaks. Is there some virgin oak in this one? I should have looked that up. Because maybe there's a little more oak structure, a little bit more of that, like a fresh oak structure when I talk about that, not an older cask. This one has an age stamp. This doesn't. But it is a breadth of flavors. Today, between the two, I like them both, but they are playing quite differently. And I might say this is more, like neither of them is playing right now as a sherry bomb, which is bizarre. Because this is nothing but a cask strength only sherry, but they're full sherry influence. This one's wine influence and other casks going on. You know what? I better compare back to this. Okay, just a quick little sip of the Glendronach back after the GlenAllachie. Okay, these are different scotches. I enjoy them both. From my palate right now, this is playing into a full sweet to dark. It's now got that full breadth of sherry. I'm getting some of that darker resinous sherry in this. It took a contrast to get me there. But if I were to label any one of them a sherry bomb, it would be this one. And I'm very much enjoying it. This brings a more variety of flavors with that wine cask. And if there's virgin oak in here, it's what I'm tasting. I'm getting more different things, even in those peanuts, which I don't normally get in Scotch. It brings a variety of nut oil and different flavors. Enjoying them both. These are excellent. And as I said in my super quick short and Father's Day, I think these would be fantastic Father's Day gifts. They're going to cost a little more than other scotches, but they bring so much to the table. You can proof them down with water, get them just into the sweet spot for your palate. I love them both. James, I hope you're having a fantastic Father's Day if you see this tomorrow. And if you see it today, happy Father's Day in advance. I know your family will treat you well, and thank you for treating me well. To all of you, hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you find time to connect with your father if he's still around. And if your father hasn't been the person that he should be, that has not been supportive, I hope you have someone in your life that has stepped in, that says you're amazing and is there for you no matter what happens, because that, I think, is what fathers should be. Have a great weekend and a great week.